not compatible in terms of being able to keep your word, being able to sit in a cardboard box in a third world country in the rain during a war and still be okay with it.
Yeah.
That is really the definition in my book.
That's love.
That's love.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, you're going to find that out on the first date.
I know.
You'll come over to the house and let's watch reruns of 90210 or Chicago PD. You could spend an hour with somebody and just the vibe, the aura will tell you this is not going to happen.
The beauty doesn't always last, the money doesn't always last, but the curiosity and the camaraderie and the companionship, that should last, or you have nothing. So, again, in the interest of time, and now you're happy.
Now I am happy. I don't even think that approaches what I am. I didn't realize, and that's why I use the analogy about the cardboard box. That is happiness to me. If that's happiness, I am happy. Because you know, I think people underestimate how much time they're going to wind up spending with their partner over a lifetime, where you're not going to the best restaurants, you're not skiing in Aspen, you're not being invited to the Oscars, you were just spending time with them. And that is the real quality time. And if you don't have that, you don't have a relationship.
So no regrets, or you're like, oh, damn, I wish I did it sooner, or you're like, this is the journey and this is how I got here?
I would say the latter. So despite all the mistakes I made, and I'd like to apologize to any woman in the world, and there are a lot of them that I have not treated fairly in my lifetime, and I think every man needs to make that apology. Had I not gone through all that, I would not have been prepared to accept what I have. I would not have been mature enough to appreciate what I have.
You're right. Every man does need to, if not make that apology, make that acknowledgement. That goes a long, long way with the women.
Yes.
Okay, in the interest of time, again, this is your first time on the podcast, and we're going to have you back on because there's a lot more to dig into, and I got a lot more questions to ask you. But we play something called Worst Date or First Date. So you have to give us either the absolute worst date you've ever had or the greatest first date you've ever had. Your choice.
Oh, wait, you mean you want a name or you want a story?
I want the story. I know you can change the names. Either like this was the worst date I've ever had or this was the best date I've ever had.
Gosh.
Either one.
That's going to be a tough one because, again, I'm not kidding about the Buddhism thing. And when you spend all your time living in the present, like you have to literally call on, your memory to pull things up that isn't floating around anymore. I'm going to stick with the first best date.
Okay.
And
see the power of Buddhism? Gets rid of all the bad stuff.
Yeah. And that was my wife, and I'll tell you why it was the first best date.
Okay. We
weren't supposed to be on a date. I was invited to a baseball game by a friend who had read my book while I was writing it, and I guess he had a surreptitious interest in her, but he wasn't willing to say so, so he invited her, and he apparently invited me because he thought she'd be impressed that he knew some guy that was writing a book nobody read. And so we just started talking, and I said to him, what's the deal with you and this lovely lady? And he said, oh, well, I want to get married, and she's not interested in a relationship. I'm like, okay, so that means you're not interested, right? Because, I'm all about the bro code.
Right.
And so, one thing led to another. We connected that first night, and then he drove us both home and then unfriended us both on Facebook.
Oh, wow. That's weird.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than a guy who says, oh, I'm not into her. I'm looking for a wife and she's not interested. Yeah. She's not interested in you.
Yeah.
That was it. And honestly, that situation, because it was so shocking, brought her and I together at like warp speed. We're like, wow, what an a-hole this guy is. Thank God we're finding this out, because this was a guy I used to spend 3 nights a week with going out, So
you found a reason to bond.
Found a reason to bond, yes. And it literally brought us together, in a way that I don't think would have happened if that had not happened. Him getting mad at us helped us out.
Good. All right, this was fun. It's called The 1 Week Relationship. Shoot us an email, greatlovedebate@gmail.com. I know you guys have a lot of questions about this. We will pass them along to Greg and experiment it and pitch the book.
It's now back on Amazon for the first time in 7 years. I took
resurrected
it off
the book. He's back.
Resurrected it in case anyone's curious.
All right, The 1 Week Relationship, Confessions of a Serial Monogamist, Greg Kelly, and the foreword was written by his wife.
Yes.
That's good. That's sweet. This was fun. Thanks for doing this.
My pleasure.
As far as us, like, share, subscribe, and as always, please review this podcast. Your reviews mean a lot in the podcasting ecosystem. You can go to ratethispodcast.com/GLD. That makes it a lot easier for you guys to rate and review. Go to greatlovedebate.com. Our live tour schedule is slowly rolling out for 2021, real live shows, and we also have some of those virtual online Great Love Debates presented by our friends at Deep, and those are just as fun, if not even more fun, and I just bought a ring light, so I will look even more glamorous when we do the next one, because as always, at the Great Love Debate, we never stop making love. See you next time.